Hi guys, new video today. Today I decided to combine 3 videos into one, which is basically my review for the Sacred Beast Structure deck, then the 3x Structure deck challenge, and finally the core strategy and combos for the Sacred Beast. So let's start with the core combos. The first thing I want to say is that this deck is very inconsistent. Why? Because it relies so much on Dark Beckoning Beast, like it's the key starter. If you don't start with this card, you're basically toast. And that's a problem because you only have 3 copies of it and then 3 copies of the Reinforcement of the Army, which is basically 56% chance to see it in your opening hand. Then what the hell you're going to be doing the rest of the games? And not only that, you also have to count the percentage of games you are going to go second and the amount of times your opponent is going to have an answer. So the end result is basically that this deck is going to be very inconsistent even in casual settings. But let's talk about that later. So first, the core combo requires the Dark Beckoning Beast and either the Chaos Summoning Beast or the Dark Summoning Beast or the Reinforcement of the Army. It can have any of those 3 cards. So we're going to summon our Dark Beckoning Beast and add the Reinforcement of the Army, which is a very good card, but it's not enough. So we activate it and search for the missing piece, for the other piece that we don't have, to be more precise. And then we're going to use the extra normal summon to tribute summon the Dark Summoning Beast. And then this Reinforcement of the Army is so powerful that it has a secondary effect that allows us to discard 1 card from our hand and then special summon a fiend with 0 attack and defense from our graveyard to our side of the field. We can discard this card and special summon it, pretty much the same scenario as Lumina Lightsworn Summoner. So we're going to do that, and this is the exact point we need to be. We're going to summon 1 beast straight from our deck, and then we can tribute this guy to special summon 1 beast from our hand. Even if I didn't have the Raviel in my hand, I could banish this guy and add 1 anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So we do that, and special summon it, then we banish. I decided to add the 3rd beast. This beast is terrible. Even if you play a Sacred Beast deck, don't play this card. It's super bad. It's super bad. Relies so much on the trap card, and the trap card isn't good to begin with, so I don't recommend it like at all. And then we can banish this guy from our graveyard to add the field spell to our hand, which is very good. The field spell is literally the only thing good about this deck. It does is protect our Sacred Beast from targeting effects, and then it allows us to draw 2 cards. That's super good. Then we set Escape from the Dark Dimension and Sacred Beast Awakening. This card's super important for the strategy. It does so many things the strategy needs to thrive. This card basically assumes you are going to have the field spell up. Why? Because all of the 3 effects are super relevant with the field spell. The reasoning behind that is that your beasts cannot be targeted, and no normal summon in the game can run over them without going into the extra deck. That's where this card comes in play. It basically gives you an insane amount of life points, because if your opponent tries to combo you, you are going to gain like 50,000 life points quite easily. And then it basically gives you a skill drain like effect. So it prevents the OTK, so you can set up again, and it takes off the most valuable resource in your opponent's arsenal, which are the monsters. So that's super powerful. They even designed another card that helps you protect it, which is Cerulean Skyfire. This card basically allows you to negate the stuff that would remove this card from your side of the field, so that's super great. And that's pretty much it. That's a core strategy. It doesn't have anything complicated. Like, you summon your 2 beasts, protect them with your field spell, set any amount of traps you have, including this one, or ideally this one, and then you basically flip them and skill drain goes brrr. Literally, skill drain goes brrr. You are not going to die easily even against meta decks. Like, the only card I can think of that would punish this field is like evenly matched. Because even if you use like Lightning Storm, well, Lightning Storm can punish this field too as well. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the core strategy. I'm going to show you the combo again, just so we can reinforce it. Like, this is the most powerful version of the combo because we are going to have Cerulean Skyfire in our hand too. So basically, again, we search, then Stratos, then Tribute Summon for the Longfire Blossom, then we summon the other guy, summon Raviel, summon Hamon, add Uria, add the field spell, draw 2, and that's pretty much it. Like, in this scenario, Cerulean Skyfire is going to protect us from Lightning Storm and evenly match it, and then this is going to protect us from any monster. This is the ideal super setup of the deck. If the deck can open this consistently, it could be competitive, but it won't because a simple effect Baylor would have ended our turn. So now I'm going to show you the content of the deck. Now I'm going to review the deck as a product, and as a product I don't think this is worth like 10 bucks. Like, I would never recommend you to buy this deck for 10 bucks. Why so? Because it basically has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards that are relevant to the deck, and then you have a bunch of filler cards like all of the rest of the monsters. These cards are not worth much. Like, most of these reprints are pretty much useless and worthless nowadays. Like, maybe years later you might be using that common Radiant or that common Chupacabra or that common Farfa, but that's pretty much it. There's no reason to touch like this deck at all. And also the same thing is true with the spells. Like, we have Cerulean Skyfire, which is designed to be a one-off. Then we have like the 7 Spirit Gates Unleashed, and which is designed to be played as a 3-off. Then the field spell, which is designed to be a 2-off. And then basically all of the rest of the spells are pretty much useless. You don't even have like worthy reprints, like Pot of Desires, the rare version from Toon Chaos is super cheap. The beginning of the end, there's a super version that it's very cheap. And then the rest of the cards are basically just worthless. Like, I mean, 1 for 1 is a good card, but it's worthless. Has a bunch of printings. And the same is true with the traps. Like, you're going to be using this card at 3, then maybe discard as a one-off, but I wouldn't recommend it because Uria is just bad. And then this is a 3-off, and then you're not going to use this. Like, basically the value comes in the form of Mistake, Pot of Desires, and that's pretty much it. Like, that's it. Pretty much you're going to have to get your 10 bucks of value out of these cards, out of the new cards, and I don't think that's possible. It's just a bad, it's just a waste of money. It's just a bad way to use your money buying this for 10. I would only recommend you to buy this deck if you need Sacred Beast badly in your life because you are a fan of the show. So I'm going to show you the build I did with just 3 structure decks, which is this. Basically, I played 2 copies of this guy, Hamon and Raviel, because I'm playing the Desires, which is not optimal because the Cerulean Skyfire is designed to be as a one-off. Like, it's a clunky card you don't want to draw multiples of, but you are basically forced off because of Desires. So that's pretty much the reasoning. I'm just playing 1 Uria because even if it gets banished, I really don't care. So that's pretty much it. Then we have to Radiant as filler, as there was no other card that I was willing to run in the structure deck. Then we have the Dark Summoning Beast, which is part of the combo, then 3 Chaos Summoning Beast, which is part of the combo, and then the best monster in the deck, which is Dark Beginning Beast, because it's necessary. Then the 3 Desires to draw us into our combo pieces. 2 Cerulean Skyfire, because of Desires, we're basically forced to run multiples, even if this card is designed to be a one-off. Then triple Reinforcement of the Army, which is very good. Then 2 Fallen Paradise, because the field spell is really accessible, and we don't want to draw 2. Then just basically filler with that Factory of More production, and then filler with Imperial Custom, then Hyperblaze, the same reasoning as the real Skyfire, and to search off like the Escape from the Dark Dimension by milling it and then adding it back with this card. So that's pretty much it. 3 of this because it can't recycle the smaller pieces, and then basically the 3x skill drain, and then the 3 Armadillo because why not, we can. That's pretty much it. Then what else can you do if you insist on playing the Sacred Beasts? You basically need cards that get you to Dark Beckoning Beast more often, like Dangers or the Magician Souls, because the Magician Souls can trade like dead cards like this one after searching, or extra copies of the field spell into more cost so you can hopefully see this card. Then the Extravagance for the same reasoning. Extravagance is better than Desires in this deck because you really don't need the extra deck, and you actually do need the combo pieces in your main deck. So it's basically better to play Extravagance here. And then the Foolish Burial, which basically it's a reinforcement of the army for either the Fallen Paradise of a Sacred Beast or a Sacred Beast. And we have Void Calamity, which is basically like how can I put it? It's basically just extra copies of Foolish Burial, but with a cost. Like the good thing about this card, and I say good between quotations because it's not necessarily good all of the time, is that it has a cost. So you can send this guy or this guy to the graveyard to send the other guy. So you're going to add a beast and a Fallen Paradise out of this card. So it's kinda okay. Then a lot of darkness to dig deeper into the deck and get to the all important Dark Beckoning Beast. Then the only traps I would play in this deck are like Manhunt and Impermanence. I mean Crackdown and Impermanence. But I don't know, I think that Crackdown can replace like one or two escapes and definitely this. And then Impermanence can replace like the Dark Factories and something else. Then for the extra deck options, we don't use the extra deck pretty much anytime, so I would only suggest you like very generic stuff like Witch Apprentice, then Union Carrier. For that's it, because in some scenarios you can, instead of going for a Hamon, you can go for Raviel, then Carrier, and put the Dragon Buster into Raviel, and that's going to give you a good advantage, because if you have like Fallen Paradise and this guy, then it's pretty hard for your opponent to overcome that field. And then Borderlow Dragon, because if there's something you cannot target or beat by battle, you're going to struggle. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this profile. Just to close my thoughts, I would never recommend this deck because it's not competitive. It's not even that good for casual, because if this card gets stopped, the full deck fails and gets stopped. So I totally don't recommend it. But if you really need that fix in your life of Sacred Beasts, by all means go for it. See you on the next